All right, y'all. We're going to get rolling with it now. Joined by the winner of tonight's GOVX 200 at Phoenix Raceway and driver of the number 7 GR Motorsports Chevrolet, Justin Allgaier. Justin, this is your first win of the 2026 season. With that win, you become the first driver to win in 10 consecutive NASCAR Riley Auto Parts Series seasons. So just speak a little bit about that feat and just ultimately what it took to to garner that.
What a cool accomplishment, to be able to do that, to have a team behind me like we do, everybody at Junior Motorsports. I'm just really proud of what we've been able to accomplish as a company. And in 2020, we hit 100 wins, and to be sitting here in 2026 and to be at we hit 50 wins, and to be here in 2026 and hitting like 107 is really a special stat. So. Having O'Reilly Auto Parts come on board this year, cool to get my first win with them. We've had such a great run with Xfinity for the last number of years. So to see a new entitlement sponsor and to get our first win, I feel like of the first three, man, there's any of those first three that we could have gone and gone to victory lane. So to have a new crew chief, to have so many things that are different, in a season, and to be able to come out at a racetrack that we know is great for us, but to have a tumultuous night. And to be able to come out here with a win was really special. So I'm really proud of what we accomplished, and hopefully it's the first of many. But either way, you never know if it's your first one or your last one, or if you'll ever get another one. So you're going to enjoy them while you have.
All right, well, we'll begin to open up to questions. We'll start with Brian over here in the middle, then we'll go to Wolfgang, then we'll make our way to the right side.
All right, real quick before we ask a question, who's winning the F1 race? Who's winning the F1 race? Leclerc. Okay, go ahead. I like it. Are you serious? Oh, man.
Brian Twining, Bleacher Nation for Best First Media Group. Justin, as you said, you had a pretty tumultuous night. It seemed like you guys didn't really have the greatest fire off speed, but you were really good on the long run. Were you even sure that you would be able to make a push like you did there on that final restart to be able to get to the front?
To that point, when I look at the way the night went, the fire off of our first run was really good, and we were able to drive our way from 17th all the way up into the top 5. I was cautiously optimistic that at the end of the race there, where we had those cycles and you have refires on tires, that's going to be more like that first run, right? It's going to be more like having that qualifying set of tires on. We knew on stickers all night that we were just okay. We weren't great. Lap 10 to 15 was kind of where we were good, and then lap 15 on was where we were great, right? And I think the hard part with the talented teams that you have, the talented drivers that you have, to get behind is so disheartening, right? Because there's just too many good cars you have to battle. And when we had that pit stop where we lost a bunch of spots, as a driver, you sink down in your seat, right? Because you know that the car's good enough to do it. You just know that you're not really sure what that looks like moving forward. And the team never quit. Andrew kept telling me on the radio, we're going to be just fine, right? Eddie kept telling me on the radio, we're going to be just fine. And you want to believe that. You want to agree with him, but you also go, man, there's so many good race cars to pass in front of me. And I think we were 23rd-ish whenever, we got behind there. And I'm like, man, we came from 17th and couldn't get to the lead. What makes us think that we're going to go from the low 20s to back to the lead? And the team never quit. And then those late race restarts and just, one of them, it was like the seas parted. It was like the perfect scenario for me to be able to go through there. And I hated it for Brent. They had a fast race car tonight, and he did an amazing job. And I'm riding along behind him, and I'm like, hey, I know they're not going to believe me, but I'm pretty confident his left front is flat. And they ended up coming down, and that was really the spot that I needed to get the great restart that ultimately put us in the position, right? I hate that because he did everything right, and, he could have just as easily been in victory lane. To battle with Jesse at the end, Jesse and I have had a great relationship, and I was proud of him for winning the championship last year. So to be able to battle it out with him tonight and to race hard like we did, but super clean. I think that's the takeaway for me tonight is how clean the race was, at least from my end. I don't know what it looked like all over the track, but a lot of aggressive, hard racing, but super clean. And it was cool. It was cool to battle it out. And look, you never know. The older you get, the these young kids are better than I'll ever expect to be, and they do things that I could have never have thought to do at their age, and you hope that you can beat them just with a little bit of experience every once in a while. I think we did that tonight. Thank you.
Go to Wolfgang next over here in the back.
Justin, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. At the end, it was only 0.44 seconds to Jesse Love. You were maybe a little bit scared that you could place an attack at the end. It was so close. And then how was your car in traffic? Once you were in front, the car was quick. But how was your car before in traffic?
Yeah, I think the traffic is where we excelled tonight. Being in traffic and being able to kind of get through the field. We got closer to the front, and I felt like that's where the other competitors really kind of showed us our weaknesses. Again, though, I think the cycles on tires and being more like the start of the race, I was excited for it, right? Because I knew how good our car was on that first initial fire off. Listen, I'm never going to count any driver out in these races. The one was strong. Jesse had figured out some things that were helping him, and he had made a run at the end. And I knew for me, the thing that had gotten us to the front all night was discipline. Hit your marks. Don't make mistakes. If I got beat because I did that and they were able to drive around me, kudos to them. Because that's my job was to do everything I could do, and I did that. And I thought that even if it gave up a little bit of speed, do not make a mistake. And that was kind of the call of the night, is just no mistakes. Discipline, being in the right line at the right times, and worked out for us. And you never know if it will or it won't, but tonight it did.
Kind of the left side of the room.
Brendan Martin, Arizona Daily Sun. Justin, you mentioned it. Obviously getting that win with Andrew on the pit box so early in the season. Just how big of a deal is that, being able to get that one out of the way, just in these first few races or so with him? Just how different is it having his voice in your ear as opposed to other crew chiefs?
It's odd, right? I mean, you switch crew chiefs, it's always odd. Jim and I had a fantastic relationship for a number of years, and Andrew all off season. I don't know if I've said it in here, but I said it out there. He's built me up to a place where I struggled because I didn't know if I could live up to kind of where he's built me up to. Right? He's probably one of the most positive people I've been around. He's constantly sending me little texts, scriptures, things that he feels like are gonna make me believe in myself probably more than I do. But I've told him since day one, man, I 100% believe that he could get the job done. I was glad that we were paired together. When Jim left, I was glad that the pairing worked out. And I felt like he had something he wanted to prove, and he spent all off season, just grinding. And his family, he's a great crew chief, but he's an incredible dad too. And we have a lot of synergies in that regard, as far as families go. And so I'm proud of that, to be able to get him to victory lane. He's earned that right. All of our team. I mean, everybody that works on the 7 team, they've done an amazing job. And look, Junior Motorsports has been a threat to win every race this year, whether it's a 7 car or not. Those don't come by chance, right? So I'm proud of what we've accomplished in the Hendrick Engine Shop and Chevrolet. Everybody that's a part of it. I feel like we have hit the ground running a lot faster than I expected to. We also can't let that be our stall out. We still have a lot of work to do. We got a great racetrack next week in Vegas that we can go win at. Other teams are pushing. I mean, if I look at the list up there, the Haas teams, switching manufacturers, have run extremely well. Better than I expected them to. The one tonight, I mean, Carson did a fantastic job. Just everybody is up their game, and I'm super proud of where this series is at right now and the talent that we have. And it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be fun some days, but today's like today. Make it that much more fantastic. And Andrew's a big part of that.
And then just walk me through a little bit about the pit stop issue. I think it was at the end of stage 2. I know some people were making it out the rubber from the IndyCar race might have played a factor. Just what did you see there? Was that ever a point of conversation at all?
No, just bad luck on our part. There's a tether in there that kind of holds the tire in the place that you needed to for a pit stop. And as soon as they went up with the jack, the tether broke. And so that allows that tire to kind of droop out. And the shock ultimately holds it, but that tether is a valuable piece, especially whenever it comes to these pit stops, right? When you're out there, and you're making sure that you don't make mistakes, and time is of the essence. Um, that little piece could be all the difference maker, right? And it's disappointing when stuff like that happens, but you make the most of it. And I think that the team did an incredible job of not giving up. Right? That's not an ideal situation, and they still rallied. I mean, we had a green flag pit stop after that. That going into the green flag stop, it's going to slow you down. Right? You have to jack the car up extra high. All the things that could go wrong in that moment when you want it to be your fastest stop of the day. They're going to be wrong, and so the team never gave up. Proud of the pit crew. We've worked out really hard. They've done a great job, and today was about the resiliency of this team. I don't know why the 7 team never makes it easy. Like if everything's going well, you just know that it's going to fall apart at the end, right? Like I don't know why that is. I wish I had an answer for that, but all of our wins have been Hail Marys at the end, and tonight was no different. But I think it makes you enjoy more. You never really know what the highest of highs are if you don't live in the valleys. Look, I've spent a lot of time this week reading scripture because of everything that's going on in the world, and it was a very humbling week for me. Right, kind of stripped myself down to a place that I didn't expect to get to, and I've struggled with some things this week, and my wife and I have talked about it a lot, and winning doesn't listen in the grand scheme of things in this world. Winning doesn't mean anything, right? But I think just where I've been all week this week in my own head, it makes days like today that much brighter, and hopefully it brought some joy to some folks that were watching tonight, and can get you to kind of refocus your energy on the things that we can control and the things that are positive, and go on to next week and hopefully go do it again.
Stay on the left side of the room, then we'll go to Noah, and then we'll come over here to the right.
Luis Torres, Motorsports Tribune. 2 quick questions. The first one, it's been alluded about the IndyCar tire wear, and obviously you guys ran after. What did it felt like to you? It went in your favor. How did it feel for you out of the track?
Yeah, I was really curious. We saw yesterday with practice, and some guys waited, myself included. Some guys went right out. The speeds were incredible with the IndyCar rubber down. I was a little concerned with wear, right? When you pick up speed, it changes things. And so the beginning of the race, I was a little bit worried about wear because, we were going faster and, you weren't really sure what to expect. But I thought it came off well. I don't know if the IndyCars had any issues with our rubber being down, right, when they started their race. But I thought this weekend was a lot of fun. I wish I got to spend more time in their garage and get to hang out with those guys a little bit more. Those the IndyCar guys are extremely talented, and those teams are really cool. So, I think that doubleheaders like this are great for the sport. A ton of fans here this morning, all day today. I saw a loaded crowd tonight at the end of the race, but, to see, we did an autograph session earlier, and to see the shirts, the Graham Rahal and the Pat O'Ward and Joseph Newgarden, see those guys, they're fans coming through the autograph line. And to see the synergies between the two, I think our race fans love great racing. And when you show them great in a place like here at Phoenix, it's a home run. So I hope tomorrow's a great race. I really do. I'm going to stick around and watch tomorrow and hopefully enjoy a great race tomorrow. And either way, this place never fails to bring the excitement. I love that.
And what do you make of the trophy that you were holding? It looked like a shield guard or something.
It is,
pretty
yes.
heavy.
It was extremely heavy. The shield itself was heavier than I thought it would be, and then the trophy, I don't even know, like the golf cart was squatted down in the back when we drove it over here. But it's freaking cool, and I feel like I have to do a photo with the Bristol sword and the shield. I was saying earlier, I feel like I was in the movie 300. You know what I mean? Like you go to battle, and I think that's the right movie. I don't know, but I feel like it is. I was trying to think of who the actor was. He's way taller and bigger and stronger than I am, but it was pretty cool to be able to hold that shield up tonight. And every trophy I think I've ever won has been like so unique, and I love the old school trophies, the Bristols and the Martinsvilles, but I also love the gladiator style that we had today, and it was really special. So that one's, I don't know where to put it. It's huge and it's heavy, so I don't know where to put it yet, but we'll find a place and enjoy it.
Go ahead, Noah.
Noah Reed, Kenny Wallace Media. I want to ask you a question about racetracks. When Denny Hamlin came in here earlier, he was asked how it feels to be back at Phoenix. barring everything that happened at the championship race last year. And I know that Phoenix is a track that's been a place of highs for you and also a place of severe lows. And so I'm curious, from your perspective, what goes on through a driver's mind when tracks, bring just a mix of emotions?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to speak for Denny because I can't fathom what he felt of the range of emotions after last year and just his off season. I think it's it's so wild. You come to these races and for me, my memory of this place isn't the bad days. It isn't the days that we should have won that we didn't. There's one memory in there. Dale gave me a big hug a couple of years ago. It was a bad day, and I remember that one really well. But for me, the backstretch, photos after the championship, we didn't win the race, but I'll never forget. It was freezing cold. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Having my kids and my wife and my parents and everybody out there, like those memories for me. This place, like every time I drive through that tunnel or walk through that tunnel or come into this place, like that's what's on my mind. Because I don't do this without my family. Like it's probably been one of the hardest parts of my career that they're not able to travel like they used to, with school and sports and, just everything that's going on. I live for that, seeing them at the racetrack and just my wife. I mean, I celebrated my 20th wedding anniversary this week for, my oldest daughter now. She's almost 13. So let's just say, what, 8 of the last however many years, give or take. My wife was front and center, sat on the pit box, took notes. She was my biggest cheerleader, but also my biggest critic. Going home, and we would discuss every race in detail. And she was switched on, and she got it. She still is, right? But then watching my kids grow up, and missing out on some of the stuff I missed out on with them, is so different now than what it used to be. And so I enjoy the moments that have really created this. I don't know if it's an illusion, but this just picture in my head that I remember with my kids and my wife and my family. So Phoenix is that for me. Winning is great, but I still look at the back straightaway in those photos, and those will be things that I'll always cherish.
And then we'll finish over here on the right.
Andrew Hazlett, Cronkite News. Justin, a win for yourself, a 3rd place for Carson, a 6th place for Sammy. But Byron ran well as well. So how does that performance as a team give you momentum moving forward here into Las Vegas and down this opening stretch here?
Yeah, I'm super proud of this team. Raja, I think, finished 8th, right? Corey was up there. Corey did a great job today too. Look, junior motorsports as a whole. But even furthermore, what is it, 14 Chevys in a row? Yeah, 14 Chevys in a row. Like, that's awesome. Look, I know we have the most cars in the series. I know that. But to have a day like that is incredible. And it's not for lack of effort. Everybody is working so hard. And, we know we have to. All the other manufacturers, all the other teams, they want to be up there. I'm so proud of junior motorsports. I mean, at one point, the 8 car early in the race was by far the dominant car. Drove up, took the lead. I think he won the first stage, right? The 1 was fast all night, battling it out. I think if it wasn't for that one restart, I think because he was on the front row, I think, and the 41 was able to put him top of 3, and that was kind of the end for them. But to still come back and finish 3rd. The 88, I think, had an issue, and they pitted for some tires at the end there. But, I mean, just the strength of our company. Raja, being in the 32, it's obviously not under our banner. But, right before the race, Raj came over and we sat in the truck and we talked about things of, kind of where to make those moves early. And he's been a lot of fun to have as a teammate this year too. So, look, I'm super proud of what we've built, what we've accomplished. Dale and Kelly and LW and just everybody at Junior Motorsports. I mean, there's no. I said it earlier. The 7 team can't go to any of these races and not win. But I think it just as a whole. I mean, we're battling our teammates every week, and yeah, we've had some ups and downs and some things that don't go the way we want them to. But I'm super proud of what we accomplished, and I don't know. I don't know if we'd ever finish 1, 2, 3, 4, but that'd be pretty special. But I think that our team is more than capable of doing that. And if we keep doing the things that we're doing, we got a great shot at getting all of us in the playoffs and or into the chase, and go race it out from there.
All right, we'll take one quick follow from Wolfgang over here.
Justin, you just said earlier that the IndyCar guys are cool. You wished you had spent more time in the garage. Under given circumstances, a perfect scenario, you would try a car by yourself, IndyCar?
The short answer is no. I think that ship has sailed a long time ago. Look, I'm sore getting out of these cars after some of the crashes that I take. I don't want to test fate. God's blessed me in a lot of ways. I don't know, but I also don't want to ever say never, because when I'm done racing NASCAR, it'd be fun to try once. I mean, maybe not in a race scenario, but if there was ever a way to test one, I would try it once. I follow all forms of motorsports. I was asking about F1, whether it be IMSA, be it supercars, dirt track racing all over the United States, short track asphalt. I mean, my wife gets so mad at me because there's not a night that goes by that I don't have some subscription on my phone watching races from somewhere, keeping up on social media. So I just love racing, and I think the older I get, the more I respect the grind that it takes to be good. Just I don't know. I just enjoy racing, and look, those guys that I watched last week at St. Pete. I selfishly have my favorites, right? Guys that I've been around and want to see do well. But at the end of the day, when you watch these guys and they put the helmet on the same way I do, they go out there and they give their best, and these fans, they get their money's worth. And we're all gonna have good days and bad days. Races are go good or not, but I just really respect what those guys do on a regular basis. So if I ever had the chance to try it, I might try it once by myself, but might need to be somewhere slow, and I don't know that they go anywhere slow, so I don't know how to make that one happen.
All right, Justin. Well, congrats on the win today, and good luck in Vegas next week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.